But let's talk about business models, because your book laments the decline of local business coverage, somewhat laments the rise of the rich media outlets that cover business in a different way that's not really accessible or affordable by normal people. And it has some solutions about things that journalists and media companies and the education system can do together. But without revenue, without advertising revenue, without subscription revenue, is that possible? Can we bring back local coverage of business, finance, and economic news? Or is it gone for good?
I say yes, we can. And in the last chapter of the book, I present the example of a business newsletter in Charlotte, North Carolina called the Charlotte Ledger, which was started by a former Charlotte Observer business reporter. And he has built the Charlotte Ledger into, in my opinion, the must read for business news in Charlotte. I subscribe to it. My son, my 30-year-old son who works in Charlotte for Vanguard, he subscribes to it. I think it does the best job of covering what's important business news in Charlotte, better than the Charlotte Observer does today, and equal to, if not better than, what the Charlotte Business Journal does. So I'm a big believer in the newsletter business model. Low overhead to start an email newsletter. It really only takes a MailChimp subscription service to get it started. So and from talking to the guy who founded the Charlotte Ledger, he's making money, he's hiring staff, he's selling ads and sponsorships for his newsletter, and he's having a great time doing it. I think we see that to a certain degree with what Axios is doing with some of its newsletters that are industry specific, like the healthcare newsletter, the media newsletter that they're doing. And as we know, Axios just got sold to Cox for $500 million. So obviously Cox sees value in that business model as well.
Interesting. I'm going to check out the Charlotte Ledger. Bill Collins, who is a longtime member of the OPC board, he asks for your thoughts of how we can train more business journalists.
Bill, that's a whole chapter in the book. And one of the things that hurts me the most in writing this book is that I blame a fair amount of the issues about business journalism today on academia, and the fact that 90% of the journalism schools in this country teach nothing about how to be a good business journalist, or even how to be a good business journalist. There are very few undergraduate or master's programs in business journalism in this country. And there are very few just business journalism courses in this country. So I've got a whole chapter in the book about what I think somebody who's interested in business journalism needs to learn when they're in college. What I will also say to you, Bill, is that I'm kind of putting my money where my mouth is here at Quinnipiac, in that last year I hired a former Wall Street Journal and Financial Times reporter by the name of Sarah Silver to start a program here at Quinnipiac. We got some money from some donors, and so we have the Alan Abelson Professorship. If you're familiar with who Alan Abelson was, the former editor-in-chief of Barron's, longtime business journalist who really stuck it to Wall Street and really investigated Wall Street. And so I'm hoping to at least make Quinnipiac a hub for business journalism education. And I really wish, other universities would do this. Journalism schools do a really good job of teaching budding business or budding reporters, how to cover the town council, how to cover the school board, how to cover cops, how to cover courts. And we don't teach them how to cover business, which is one of the most
Interesting.
important parts of society out there.
Mhm. So some people say get an MBA or major in finance or economics and then go out and cover business. Do you feel that you should train journalists who are going to be general business journalists just in journalism and then take some business courses? Or what's your philosophy on that?
So my philosophy is, and my sister and my brother-in-law, who are accountants, are going to hate me for saying this, but I would prefer as a business journalism educator to teach journalism students how to read an income statement, a balance sheet, and a cash flow statement as a journalist, not as how a business school would teach it. Because I'm going to teach them what to look for. I'm going to teach them, where the tricks are played in accounting. Now, having said that, I do think it's important for somebody who wants to be in business journalism to take some business classes, particularly like a corporate finance class or like a mergers and acquisitions class, just so they learn what's actually happening when they're writing stories like that.
Mm-hmm. So Leah Spiro, also a former colleague of ours, asks about, well, she points out that there's an association of healthcare journalists, and that does a great job advocating for good healthcare journalism. But what solutions do you propose to make coverage of healthcare better? So in your ideal curriculum in your new program, what will you do to improve coverage of health?
A couple of things, Leah, that I think are just basics. Teaching students how to find and read a Form 990, since a lot of healthcare organizations are nonprofits, like hospitals. How to get health insurance documents from state insurance departments for healthcare plans like HMOs and PPOs, vitally important. Particularly like when a health insurance company files a rate request to increase what they're charging for their health insurance. Certificate of need applications for hospitals and for outpatient surgery clinics. To me, this is just real basic reporting tactics that have not been applied to business journalism at the educational level. Again, we teach students how to go get a school board budget, but we don't teach them how to go get a hospital budget. We teach students how to go look up, what city council agendas and what's on the agenda there. But we don't teach them how to go look up the local public, hospital board and what the local hospital board is doing.